Yeah, it's a DJ or something, right?
Yeah. I always just like the slow kind of like jazzy intro to stuff. But it's hard to tell how much like I could let it roll before I get a copyright strike. And I try to talk over it to see if that helps, but
it's a gamble.
I mean, how could you not like saxophone? How could you not like anything live?
Sets the vibe, you know?
Oh, man. How long did it take to make that thumbnail? Cole Powers, my favorite fan. What's up, buddy? Longtime supporter. This guy sends love notes every time. Yeah, he just calls me gay and like makes fun of me and stuff like that. So anyways, Cole, it didn't actually take that long, dude. Canva's America worker. Oh, wait, maybe no, that's Colt. Sorry, maybe I'm getting my people mixed up. This part. Oh, wait. No, I can't remember. It's like
it's like a Biggie mashup.
Yeah, he's like, I started this gangster shit, and now you guys act like you don't know who did or something like that, and it's always funny. And I always think about all that. Yeah, sorry, Colt, dude, totally got you messed up, dude. Totally got you mixed up. Sorry about that, bro. I just saw literally the first 3 letters of your name and just assumed. Yeah. See, Augustus knows. Anyways, good dude. Colton Powers. Sorry about that, sir. Okay, guys, as you know, we got Seth Page here with us. We're going to dig into a little bit of the history of the Open. As you can see the years on the screen, I have it from 2011 to 2016, but that does not mean that we're just going to talk about that or we're limited to. I just think that through those first 5 years, 6 years, there was a lot of pivotal stuff that happened, and there was a lot of change. And I think sometimes when we look backward, we could see like, oh, change has only been with us for the whole entire Open, the whole entire game season. It's not like they change it pretty much every year.
Yep. Literally.
Oh yeah, excuse me, Daddy Seth Page. Yeah, congratulations, man.
Oh yes, thank you.
Life with a child now. How's that going?
It's actually great. It just, every moment you had before having a child to like do something, whether it's for yourself or for like doing my own show, for example, those things get eaten up for a little while until you kind of get into a rhythm. And so that's what I'm learning how to deal with right now. And being in Hawaii with my wife, we don't have family out here. So it's us and the baby. So there really is no help. So we're still juggling everything. And now the baby. It's great, but it takes time.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like how you were saying. I mean, you guys have always juggled businesses and programming and shows and everything you have going on. So you're no stranger to juggling multiple things. But I can imagine dropping a brand new born baby into the mix is gotta mix it up quite a bit.
I mean, I was just bored with the with the normal challenge, so I decided to just level up to other people's level, and so now I get what's happening.
Yeah, as if you had nothing else going on.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, congrats, dude, and thanks again for taking the time to kind of chat about this. Anytime I think about CrossFit history, especially like spanning through a lot of the old articles, journal articles, videos, all that, like you're the first person that always comes to name. I was even talking a little bit about it with Seb on yesterday when he was like, yeah, you've had Seth and Tyler on multiple times. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And he's like, yeah, those are kind of like your dudes, huh? And I was like, yeah, they each like have their own like categories and expertise. And yeah, you make.
I love the shows with you and Tyler, by the way. I really like how you guys dig into stuff. It's like detective work when you're on there, and then you sometimes go way deep down the rabbit hole, and Tyler's there to reach in the rabbit hole and be like, Souza, come out for a second. Let's talk about this. Yeah, it's good. I like it a lot.
Thanks, dude. I got quite a few people who are like, yeah, it was like it was interesting following your whole entire thing there, but it made sense, and hopefully you guys were able to follow it okay. Schindledecker, what's up, dude? Yeah, please, let's catch up. I was just talking with Sebon. We need to have you and Debbie back on the podcast as well with him, so we could kind of figure out everything that's going on in your guys' world as well. I know you guys are always moving and grooving. Brett, what's up, dude? Welcome. Sorry, you guys were at the fire station this morning. That's awesome. Yeah, B Sport is the buyer. Yeah. So, all right. So let's just break right into it. We're going to chat just very briefly about an update on the situation with the sale of CrossFit. So as you guys know, I laid that whole entire thing out. For those of you guys that didn't like to follow the hour-long connections that I was making, the short of it is there's a company called B Sport, which looks like it's a Saudi-backed company out of Switzerland. So you will never figure out who owns what. And they also own Hustle Up and Northern Spirit. And it looks like that company, B Sport, will be or is in bid now to purchase the CrossFit Games. And the reason why I said it's in bid is because we all know how this works. Once you have one person that shows up that wants to buy your thing, you're going to call those other two people that you kind of had on the hook. that maybe you kick the can down the road on selling it to, and said, hey, I got a buyer. Are you guys still interested? Just wanted to put this in front of you before we sell it off. So that's where I think we are now. Have you heard any rumblings? I figured out, like, I'm hearing all the rumblings. I've been feeling like the hot chick, the new hot chick at high school, dude. I've been getting calls and stuff from
You
people.
are. I have heard zero, and so I'm not even trying to bug you and others who have some info about it. I'm just paying attention, listening, because I always want to see how something pans out before I'm like, okay, this is done deal, ink's dry, this is fact. It's like, okay, this is what we're hearing. So I'm just laying low, like, okay, if this, doing the if then thing in my head, if this and I like this, then I do this with my gyms. If that, then I do that with my gym. So my wife and I are just chatting about it, but we're not concerned by any means. We're just like hoping that somebody who buys it wants to, I don't want to call it bring back the glory days, because that's never going to happen, but wants to grow it in a way that supports what the community mission has been since the start, I guess is the best way I can put it.
Yeah, and I hope so too. And I think really what's going to take that for that to happen is just somebody who doesn't have short-term gain in mind, and somebody that's
Right.
like passionate about it, knows it, loves the community, is heavily involved in the community, and is okay with making a really long-term investment into CrossFit. And yeah, and I like to think that the show that I did last week wasn't necessarily had a negative tone to it, because I don't want to put a negative tone to it, because we don't really know. Like, we don't really know. But I do know that once you have somebody who's interested in buying your thing, you might as well hit up a couple other people to see if they're still interested in buying your thing. Why not? You already have a buyer. That gives you more leverage. Also, too, who said it? Augustus said it here, just the CrossFit Games. So here's the new stuff that I'm hearing. I'm hearing rumors that one of the bidders for CrossFit is actually looking to do something called asset stripping. Okay, so we kind of touched base on our window shoppers here. We're going into asset stripping. So CrossFit, as it shops it around, I think it's shopping around to a lot of other VC companies. I think JP Morgan might be in the mix, Goldman Sachs. They handle a lot of these acquisitions. They also buy a lot of these smaller companies. We know that B Sport has their name in the mix. We don't really know what the Mayhem connection is there. I don't know. It's kind of strange, but needless to say, anybody that would purchase it, one of my first calls would for sure be to the Mayhem crew. So at least they're potentially doing their due diligence there. Now, I've also heard that there are potential other buyers in the venture capital world that are looking to do something called asset stripping. Now, it's kind of weird in this situation, but typically they would purchase a company to break it into its parts and sell off its parts. Here's a basic way to think about it. You bought a car because it might be totaled or kind of shitty, but you know that this portion of the engine is worth quite a bit, this portion of the engine. And if you just got in there, spent some time pulling it apart, shining up those other pieces that you could sell the parts off and end up getting more money than you originally bought it for, because the car in and of itself, sold as it is, isn't worth very much due to it being damaged. I hope that was an easy explanation.
That's so sad to think about CrossFit as a totaled car. That's such a sad thing to.
I know, but
that's a great
perfect
way to describe it. The stitched seats inside the demolished car are worth more than the car by itself. Totally get it, but man, that's a sad way to think about it. But you're dead on.
Like the electronics and, like, you know, the big powerhouses of the engine, meaning like affiliates and training in the games, would all be broken into three, and those are basically the three revenue lines. Now, if you looked closely at my thumbnail, I put like a negative 10 million for the CrossFit Games. This is tongue in cheek as a joke, meaning like without the other two, I don't believe that one survives, because I do think that it is the training and affiliates definitely subsidize the games. And now we see it for sure with the Open, as they're trying to, like, we have some more transparency on how those numbers break down. But yeah, so I think that the games aren't really that expensive in and of themselves unless they're purchased by the right buyer. And so that's a pretty big staple that I want to put there, because if you have, and I'm going to say it, it's going to get weird, but if a company like the High Rocks bought the CrossFit Games just as the games, or Spartan Race, or Ninja Warrior, or Tactical Games, or one of these other things that are just specifically the competition. That's all they do. That is their thing, is just the competition. I could see potentially one of those companies buying the games just for the games and adding it to their thing.
It would have to be somebody with set up infrastructure like that, because we know the games is not a super profitable thing. So they would have to kind of add it into what they're already able to do with their like cost structure to pull it off. And it would change, it would look different. You'd basically be buying the brand and the goodwill of the last whatever 15, 20 years of the games, and
Yep.
hoping that you're pulling enough people and eyes over and advertisers over with you, because as it sits as a competition now, not worth that much, if anything.
Exactly. And so training and affiliateship, though, again, sold to different partners, none of which I think any of us in the community would be happy for. Because the first thing I think, affiliates, if you sell that piece off to another VC company that owns like Planet Fitness or that owns like Anytime Fitness or LA Fitness or something that has a bunch of these chains, they're just going to say, great, now we have this licensing model and we're putting CrossFit gyms, and I'm using quotations, into all of our gyms now.
Or yeah, that's one thing. Or they try that out for a moment and then they find out that it doesn't work because people don't want to go to Planet Fitness for their CrossFit stuff, and then they just kill it. And then they're forcing somebody else to rebuild a brand new structure, company, a brand that other people will get behind and affiliate with, and that will take decades. So that buys them a ton of time to get more people in their spots.
Yeah, either way, it ain't looking good for us. Could you imagine if the NSCA bought training?
I don't want to think about that, but yes, I can imagine that.
Holy shit. If
That
the
would
whole
be
entire American Beverage Association and that, conspiracy that I always talk about, that they were one of the largest funders to get CrossFit out of Greg's hands, that would be crazy, because then that would just go complete full circle.
Yeah, but they would be, I mean, maybe they do it again to do kind of what I said before and try to shut it down and kill the education branch of CrossFit. But then somebody else would just take the methodology and try to rebuild it, because nobody trusts, in our community trusts the NSCA. So
yeah. So good point. Either way, I think that and here's the thing though, dude. Like, you have your hand on the pulse of this community so well that I wonder, like, I completely agree with both things that you say, like 100%. I don't have anything against it. But the one interesting thing is that, like, I don't think the people that would be purchasing it have their hand on the pulse of the community the way that,
right.
you know what I mean, that we do. So like, if they look at it, they just might see numbers, they might see growth, they might see opportunity to lesser expenses and like all this other stuff, and they would completely miss the envelope there. They
Just
would
light their
completely
money
miss
on
the envelope.
fire.
That's right. But as it is, there's always, like Berkshire probably did for a couple of years too.
Yep.
But as it is, there's always other things that come into their place. And so those are the two main things that I'm hearing, that it's up for bid and that it's looking more or less like the asset stripping is a possibility here. Now, remember, I'm just a dude on the internet that says stuff on YouTube. So you know what? Take it for what it is. But shout out to Robert, who was the head VP of CrossFit partnerships. Nice guy. It's funny because somebody in the comments when I was doing the show was like, hey, their LinkedIn could see everything you're doing. And I was like, hey, the live show on the freaking internet shows them everything I'm doing too, right? But yeah, but it does like alert them like so-and-so has views your profile. So I could just imagine, as I was collecting all this stuff up for the show last week and the nights before, how many times it said I looked at all those guys' accounts. But it was funny. I got a nice message from Robert, and we kind of wrote back and forth, and he was a really good sport about having his LinkedIn profile blasted online. So I appreciate that.
So LinkedIn shows you every time you click someone's account, if you're logged in, that they have viewed your account. So you got to like stalker level LinkedIn last week, basically.
If any alert could go off that you got viewed that many times, I set them all off twice.
That's funny.
Because I was going back to their pages and I was like, wait, how does this one? And I was scrolling through, whatever. You go down the rabbit hole, you sit there and you're doing your due diligence. I'm looking it up, I'm playing my Doge. And so yeah, it was just it was kind of funny because I could just imagine how many times it said that I looked at their profiles. So anyways, shout out to those guys. I hope Florian, Malik, all you guys, I wish you luck in your endeavors if what I am saying is true. But shout out if it works out, because we're here.
Do the right thing, guys. I'm with you if you do the right thing.
Seth and I got your back. All right. So okay. we're going to dive a little bit into the open. Knowing me, I will probably take shots at HQ for stuff they did in the past and what's happening now, and weave it into the cell of this CrossFit thing here. So we'll weave around a little bit. But I found this playlist. If you guys don't know, somebody put together a CrossFit open announcement playlist, and I put every single open announcement in there from 2011 all the way till last year
On YouTube?
on YouTube.
Wow. Who built that?
I don't know, but they just added all of it up. And so I literally watched all of them into 2016. And I don't want to jump too far ahead, but all of a sudden, as I was watching the starts of each year's open, like how it, how they start it, how they announce it, how they bring it in, I noticed a massive change. And I was like, oh shit, there it is. And so
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so I'll show we'll talk a little bit about it each year here and just kind of highlight some stuff, but we could jump around. So anything that pops into your mind that's fun about the open, Seth, or whatever, just feel free to put it out. We're not, we're just loosey-goosey here. But let's start on the first year. And I don't know if any of you guys have seen this. So I'm going to share the screen. We're not just going to watch the whole entire time because, as you guys know, I don't really know how to share screen on here and keep all my guests on, as we knew from last show. But if I hit this, let's see if this works. And we still have volume. Awesome.
Yeah,
so they can still hear
cool.
you stuff. All right.
Yep.
So here's the very first time for the open.
Tony Budding here, and we are going to give you a demonstration of
Okay. So, Seth, we're going to play a trivia game. And I'm going to say, can you identify all three people on the screen?
Well, very familiar with Tony. Okay. I was just going to say I think her name's Lori, but then I saw it up in the top corner, but I couldn't remember her last name until I saw that. Third guy. Oh man. Wait, hit play for another second. Give me another angle of his face.
Okay. Let's see if he says his name though.
Oh, shoot.
The first week's workout for the 2011 CrossFit Games Open.
And then let's see, we could give you a whole different angle.
I remember this very clearly.
Yeah.
But not him particularly.
Is that almost looks like it says it's an affiliate, but is that CrossFit H? No, that almost looks like Greg's house.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a house based on the foliage in the background.
Right, and the windows and how it's just too nice to be a commercial building. So
correct.
Okay, we'll leave it at that because I'll come back to that individual here. Chase and Bill and Chase are doing that right now. No, they're not. They're doing something different. They're talking about their favorite stuff. Don't you bring me down. By the way, shout out. Standy was my 8,000th Instagram follower.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm buying a cake and shit. Some balloons.
8K.
I'm going to make all my gym members clap for me. Because my life is so different. Yeah. So anyhow, okay. So we have that as the first year. You guys saw Tony Budding announce it. Okay. So if you've never seen him, that was 11-1.
So I don't remember the announcements from like 11-5 or any other ones. Like, were they all in that same garage?
Yeah, so all of 2011 was, okay? Now, we won't kind of go through them like piece by piece, but it was pretty interesting because that one started with the intro, and then it was like, hey, Tony Budding here. And then what the next one did, which was interesting, is he went right to workout explanation, and then they did the whole entire weightlifting standards, which all this is kind of funny to see because you could see adjustments that they made year for year. A couple of them were like the kilos and like getting really specific about that. And then, can you name her?
Nope.
Either can I. I have no idea who that is. So I'll just release the tension on that one right now. But yeah, so this ending with this, which was the last workout.
Shoulders.
Now, I think her name's Megan, and I think she demoed a lot of them in the future, too. In the future from 2011 on. But again, they're all at the house, and it's all Tony Budding. Okay. So 2011, you could tell that they were kind of like working through the dark a little bit. They just had the Tony Budding piece. They kind of would do a workout announcement, then started the workout in the first one. And then they were like, oh, let's talk more about the standards. in like everything else, right? So they're trying to just and give you the clap.
Is the full demo on there? I didn't see how long that video was. So after he talks through it, is that athlete doing the full workout each time in
So
2011?
first one she did, Lori did, and then the
Yes.
rest of the videos they don't. They only do
Interesting.
movement standards. So something
Interesting.
happened within there, right? So it's kind of funny, like I don't know how it evolves each year. Okay, so this year we had one demo, and then we just had explanations, and then on 11.3 we had
All right, Tony Budding here. We have Heather Bergeron
demo
and Pat Sherwood.
in just workout. So it's kind of weird how. So this was the announcement. This is the workout. It's Pat Sherwood doing it with Heather Bergeron.
I could name them.
So it's kind of funny how they move back and forth between a demo and and just workout explanations. Okay.
That is interesting. I want to say this though. So like from somebody who got into this in 2008, and then by 2011, this was the first year it came out, and like I remember being glued to my screen waiting for the announcement to come out. And those details you're talking about now weren't even a consideration. I didn't even notice they fully demoed it one time and then didn't another and talked about it. I was just so obsessed with what the workout was going to be when it came out, and then how soon I was going to attempt it. It was the feeling of an open announcement when the first year and even the second and third year was like so overwhelmingly unbelievable. What a feeling to get this like delivered to you, and then it's your mission for the next 4 or 5 days to get this done. Like people take that for granted, and that's why I try to tell new people, like, don't discourage new people from doing the open, because they can feel that excitement, and wow, what a moment it is when they release workouts.
Yeah, and it's really cool, like, to highlight that. I think is important because it reminds us, so we get a nostalgic feel for it, but then we also want to provide that experience for somebody else, right?
Yes.
And it's also funny too, like you probably have it at your gym, whenever people are gonna get ready to do their open workout, the open workouts always look exactly the same as our class workouts. Like I program very closely to open type standards and movements and what you would see and volume and numbers and all that type of stuff, right? But it's hilarious to see all of my members that come in, and it's like they're warming up like they're pros, they're like recovering, and I'm like, where is this the rest of the year? Like,
right?
Just to get you guys to stretch your hips for a moment after class is like pulling teeth, and now all of a sudden you guys are super into, I need this 30-minute warm up, everything else, right?
And then when they're done, what do they say every time? When they're done, what do they say every time? That was the hardest workout I've ever done. Wow, that was genius. I can't believe the way they combine those two movements. The hardest thing ever. It's just like, if you just tried one day a week like that, oh my goodness, what a different perspective you'd have. It's so funny. I love it.
It is. And it's hilarious too, because we'll put on like clinics for double unders or practice, or tell people, hey, you know, do this or do these after class, work on your skills. And it's like whenever the double under workout gets announced, everybody in my gym is now practicing. And I'm like, you guys, we got one day before we
before the test, baby.
Yeah, it's like, what in the world? Okay, so there was two unique things about 2011. Two unique things that I want to point out here. The first one, and they only happened one time in 2011, then we never saw them again in the open. Do you happen to know what they are by any chance?
Well, I know in 2011 there was a scoring issue. The website crashed during the submission, either the fifth, or I think there was a sixth workout in 2011, if I'm not mistaken.
That's one of them.
Yep. And so they gave you an extra week actually to do one of the workouts because of a website crash. Yeah, there was six workouts. And I think the only other thing I can think of that was unique, if I'm getting this right, is there was push-ups in 2011.
Nice.
Did I get it?
Yes, that's both of them.
Yeah.
6 weeks. And you added a piece that I didn't know about, which was the fact that they had a scoring issue, so they had to put in that extra week. So that's really cool. It's also funny too, because I talked with Greg a little bit last week, and when he was on the show, and Savon was like, told him that we were doing this, and he was like, hey, do you remember when you told us we were doing the open, we thought you all were crazy, because it was like, he's like, hey, we're gonna move this online, there's too many people, it's gonna, like, logistically we're never gonna be able to qualify these people through, we'll just have this mass participation event. And everybody at HQ, I guess, fought him tooth and nail on it, like hated the idea. And so it's kind of funny. Okay, so 20, but yeah, that was it. So 6 weeks in the first open ever, and push-ups, which we would never ever see push-ups again. I mean, that would be a nightmare. For Hiller, it would be a freaking, he would have so much So much going on. Okay, so this is going to be the very first 2012, and now we'll notice a difference here right away. And I want you to notice two things. Look at even the difference in media from the bumper alone, which is this intro thing that shows the logo. Okay, so in a media world, that just went from like a 2 from that last Reebok bumper to like a 10.
Yeah.
For this one. So there was already a massive upgrade in terms of just the presentation of media. And this is the first time that we see the TDC.
Welcome to the 2012 Reebok CrossFit Games. We are here at Valley CrossFit where we are going to brief the first open workout. The first open workout is as many reps as possible in 7 minutes of burpees.
All right. Everybody famously remembers that one there. So 2012, these were still pre-recorded at this time. So 2011 pre-recorded, 2012 pre-recorded. And this is the first time that we saw Dave Castro move from Tony Budding to Dave Castro.
Dude, the collective groan in the gym when that came out and watched that 7 minutes of burpees, oh my God, like the air got sucked out of the room and people realized what they were going to be doing for the next like 5 days straight. Because back then, you didn't just do the open workout one and done. There was literally no such thing as one and done back then. So it was like we knew we were spending the next 4 or 5 days doing 7 minutes, 100 plus burpees over and over and over, sometimes twice in a day. True story.
And it's amazing how deep we'd go down that because you would get like the metrodome to time your pacing to, right?
We
and like
used
all
that.
this
Yes.
other shit.
Yeah, we figured that out later on, like everyone else.
Yep. You
Crazy.
can time it. You got to start at a certain pace, like hit your markers. It's funny and all the tips and tricks and stuff. But in 2012, it was still really like the Wild Wild West in terms of just even finding stuff on the internet that would give you explanations of workouts or snatching. Like I think we take for granted how much information on exercise and movement there is now versus there was in 2012. It just was not readily available. Like in order to further my knowledge of weightlifting, like I bought a book. Like that's how much little content there was. Like I bought a book on how to learn movements. I think it's called like Basics Olympic Weightlifting by Greg Everett. But yeah, it was just like there was nothing out there. So anyways, that was inside of a CrossFit gym. So there's another notable thing from 2011 to 2012. We went from someone's house to inside of a CrossFit gym. So big change there. Now this one we had movement standards and we had a demo at the end. So they finally got it together and combined the two here. And we have Kristen Clever, who was 2012 champ, I think, actually, not 2011. But and now this was back when it was like the Valley Girls, and it was like them and Katie Hogan and yeah, there was a Liz,
the big three.
Right. Lindsay Venezuela too.
Yep.
Was around that time with these girls. So yeah, so anyways, that's kind of the transformation that we saw from 2011 to 2012. A couple notable things in here as well is I'll switch it over. Because
that's a big difference already though, as you're kind of stating. It's a big difference in like kind of how you're just putting it out there. You're the first one really felt like you're joining a club and like you were doing this like secret workout in a garage or an affiliate, like just it felt very secretive, like this special competition you're signing up for. The next year really started to feel like it was this big event, and the media I think kind of helped solidify, okay, we're taking it serious. We didn't shoot this in one take in a garage. Like this looks legit now. I think that's a big deal in terms of getting other people to feel its legitimacy.
Yeah, and to further your point, the presentation, right? Like the bumper right off the deal, like when you were watching that as a CrossFitter in 2012 and you saw that come up, you were like, whoa, this is like ESPN. You know what I mean? It just felt legit. And then right away, the presentation of Dave walking through the rig and explaining the workout as it went. It wasn't just like Tony caught off guard, like, oh, okay, it's rolling. Are you on?
Yeah.
Okay. And they had a flow to it. So you could tell that they were like, all right, so from last year, We're going to announce the workout. We're going to do a demonstration on the standards. We're going to show different examples, and then we're going to go to our athletes and hit the workout.
Yep.
So you could kind of tell that they really got it together then. So Dave's first appearance, massive upgrade in media. Now, also too, they knew that there was like a showman element to it, right? And this is by far my absolute most favorite CrossFit Open that announcement ever. I cannot tell you how many times I watched
Reebok CrossFit Games. We are here at Tennessee Tech, home of the 2011 Fittest Man Alive, Rich Froning, and home of the 2011 Open champion, Dan Bailey. We are going to brief the...
So anyways, it's Dave again announcing. You could tell there's even a further upgrade of media. We got 2 angles. We got some sort of post-production going down. And then we have I mean, if you did CrossFit between 2012 and 2014 and you didn't watch this like on a weekly basis, like you probably weren't that serious.
Pretty much.
And yeah, Tennessee Tech, everybody recognizes that from Rich from back in the day. But yeah, so that was the second open announcement there. It was moving around again, and it's going and visiting, and I think it was Kristen Clever that won that year prior too. So it was like the first 2 was like the champ and champ. And you can tell now we're like, okay, it makes sense who we're picking. We're not just grabbing Pat Sherwood and Heather Bergeron, who might have been randomly there for a seminar, right? As she lives all the way on the other side of the country. So it was very deliberate of like, who are we picking and who are we bringing in to do the announcements at that point too.
Here's the thing that like popped into my head to like, again, just to harp on that legitimacy aspect. The first year, if I sent a 2011 open announcement to a friend and said, look at this cool event I'm doing, they'd be like, what is this weird trash that you're watching? If I sent one of these videos to my friend and said, look at this workout, anyone who is even remotely into fitness would be like, that's crazy. I'm going to try that. That looks so sick. And that, I think, is the big difference in getting people, the normal everyday affiliate goer, to see that video versus a 2012 video and be like, oh my God, I get to participate in that next to Rich and Dan, like, and I get to do this. I'm doing this workout. I think that's just a huge shift in just pulling people into our bubble and participating in the first couple of years.
Completely agree. And there, like the biggest piece was, and you could tell that this was very deliberate on the way of CrossFit HQ, is they wanted to have an element of entertainment.
Yeah.
Like that's, and just like you said, you could bring somebody who's unsure about what this is or doesn't know about it. You can put in front, and they're going to get hooked in. They got the bumper, like, oh, official. They got Dave talking. He's going to build the workout. Then they're like, so what are they going to do? And all of a sudden they're like, hey, these are the 2 guys that are going to do it. 2 gals that are going to do it. And like, boom, you get to watch it. Fires it up. Yeah. Shout out TJ, dude. Outlaw Way was great programming. I followed Rudy Nelson. If you weren't doing Smoloff Jr. in 2014, again, you weren't serious.
Great programming is an interesting way to describe it, but yeah, it was something.
Dude, the squat cycle, which was one piece of your elements, was literally built for motherfuckers on steroids. Like the volume level was straight up just arrogant. and
then his he called everything barbell gymnastics after. There was not even any real gymnastics practice. It was just like lift, do a Metcon with a lift, and then do barbell cycling, which he called barbell gymnastics. That was literally the whole program.
Yeah. If you didn't have the red Adidas while you weren't weightlifting.
Right.
Okay, so this will take us to the end of 2012, which is kind of cool because we see the StubHub Center for the first time here. Well, not the first time, really the 3rd time. This would have been going to the 3rd year, but they're doing the open announcement.
Reebok CrossFit Games. For this 5th and final workout, we are here at the Home Depot Center.
Which is kind of cool because again, it shows to the entertainment aspect, the showmanship, because this is where this would ultimately end. The open is the start of it. Everybody is fighting their way to get here. So it's kind of cool that they have it here at the StubHub Center back then, or Home Depot Center, and are doing it with these 2 athletes. Now, I mean, just look at the whole thing. Even, the production is just so much better. But
it's crazy.
There's a young Adrian Bosman there. Now, I watched this whole thing, and my favorite part of this open announcement was straight up Heber right here in the back. This dude was all over the place, and you could tell he was pumped to film it. He was passionate about it. Like at one point, he like sprints off and then he climbs up onto the rig mid their workout and is like getting these shots from above. But you could see him creeping back there the whole time. And obviously we're on his camera now. But the shots
I've
that
never
he
missed
was
that.
getting.
That's
Oh,
so
here
funny.
it is. Here's him on top of the rig.
Oh shit. Yeah, I don't even think about it from that point of view, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And then at one point, he's like filming over here, and then you just see him. I don't know what he's doing, but he just like dead sprints across the screen with his camera. And I'm like, what the hell? And Dave's telling you could hear Dave say, like, Heebs, get back. Heebs, give him room. See, look, another shot from up above the rig, right? So
Nobody's brought energy to CrossFit Media since those dudes. I mean, Heber and Marston are the CrossFit Media goats in terms of filming the sport, and no one's ever put as much effort into it as those guys have.
I mean, it's just insane. There was I was listening to a podcast. I think it was like the Diary of a CEO. I don't listen to those. There's certain podcasts that I only listen to in clips, like Theo Vaughn. Like I feel like I know about a lot of Theo Vaughn podcasts, but I've never ever watched a Theo Vaughn podcast. Anyway, I digress. But there was a Mr. Beast in the Diary of a CEO podcast, and Mr. Beast said that he goes, "Yeah, what do they call it? A 10-year employee who's passionate and has been there for the from the beginning is the eighth wonder of the world for business." And it's so true because they know so much about the business, the ups and the downs, how it evolved, and on top of that, they're passionate about what they're doing when they work, because if they start out at the ground level like that, chances are you're not making a lot of money, if any money at all.
Right.
And then as things get bigger, it's just all icing on the cake. Like I'm sure some of you guys have heard Dana White talk about how Joe Rogan did like the first 15 episodes of the UFC for free. Like they didn't have any money, and he's like, "But I get the best seat in the house, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I'm in." And obviously that paid off in a massive way, I'm sure. Sure, he got a nice check from Dana at some point. Okay, so 2012, a big upgrade. The last little notable thing here is just we have Dan Bailey, old Barnacle Bailey, and Graham Holberg at the Rogue facility. Doing the workout inside Rogue, which was always cool because Rogue's always been such a big part of CrossFit and everything. It's always cool they kind of do something in there.
And that was Graham's. I think Graham, if I'm not mistaken, the second he won the CrossFit Games, Rogue became his home gym. He became like the head instructor at Rogue, and all his videos, all the content with Graham was out of Rogue. So I'm pretty sure he was like head of their gym for a few years. I don't know how long. Maybe he still is. I don't know. But so I think that's why you always see Rogue in there, because they brought the champ in right out of the gate and had him be like set that up as his house, so to speak.
This is exactly why I bring you on, so you get all the little cool tidbits.
I don't know.
And
Cool
it's cool
things.
how it all like connects, right? Like there's this woven web. So okay, 2011, big upgrade of media to 2012. Now we have a lot of our superstars forming here. They're bringing back former champs. We're doing head-to-head workouts, and now we move on to 2013. Now, before we jump into this, do you know the biggest difference between 2012 to 2015 right off the top?
To 2012, 2013?
Yeah, 2012, 2013. Excuse me. Yes.
I'm racking my brain. The only thing I can think of is that they come. No, I don't know. I'm reaching.
It's the first year they went live.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So this was the first year they went live. Here's a young Rory McKernan. Now, if you want to see something amazing, you watch this whole. We're not going to watch this in entirety. I'm just going to show you guys two things, and this is where the difference between the years started to. Remember, I told you before that I saw something change over the years. This was the start here. Now, before I'm going to play this commercial, but we'll let you roll with just a little bit of Rory, because this guy is like stumbling through this, right? Let me pull back just a hair.
It's elite athletes throw it down head to head. So moments away, the director of the CrossFit Games, Dave Castro, about to make his announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, the CrossFit Games open.
The CrossFit Games open. So there was like multiple mess ups. You could see him just sweating it, right? But dude, when you go and watch him, like whenever he did, I think like last year, the year before, or when we see him in a couple of days, it's like, dude's a fucking pro. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's crazy. So I've only really like remembered Rory just being super smooth, like power control, no problem, like handles the whole thing. I don't ever think of him as like even messing up or like missing a word. And so when I was watching these first ones as he's opening and he's the first dude live, the first face that it's gonna see, and kind of watching that, it was really cool just to kind of remember, like, dude, there's a start to everybody's got an origin story.
And then he was on ESPN, just like a pro, man, like covering that stuff, no hiccups at all. That's great, because it makes me feel better about when I shoot a simple Instagram video and I trip over my own words by myself 7 times and have to keep reshooting it and then edit it 6 times to do a 20-second clip. So he makes me feel a lot better about myself there.
Yeah. This is funny, Standy. And Dave's a goof who needs a stylist. I wish I could give you some sort of smart aleck answer that would say that you're wrong, but you're absolutely right, because his outfits and his hair just got more and more like showman, if you will, or flamboyant as the
But we're
years went on.
talking about it, right? If he had a stylist, we might not be talking about the ridiculous shit that he did to his shirt changes and hair and hats and glasses and all that stuff. It's all
Dude.
memorable.
You're absolutely right. Great point. Like him doing whatchamacallit, bar
The
muscle ups in a
cornrows.
suit and shit. Like,
Oh yeah, and the cornrows at the games, he just comes out on like a Sunday with like sunglasses and cornrows. Unreal.
yeah, it's fucking hilarious. So let me add this piece in. Okay, so I want to play this commercial for you guys really quick and just check this out, because this is something that I don't see happen as the years go on. Here we go.
4, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1. Get it up! One more! Yeah!
Yeah, get it up.
Awesome job! Oh my God!
I'm so
Dude.
excited for this opportunity for the athletes and the athletes and the athletes.
That just pumped me the fuck up. I cannot wait now for Thursday. I'm stoked. They don't even need to make a new commercial. Just air that this year. I mean, I'm stoked right now. That is sick.
Yes, exactly. And this next piece here, I want to show real quickly. They come back in. Okay, so one more, please. I'm going to play here. This is from the same clip.
This is the CrossFit Games open announcement, week 1.
Look at that crowd inside of a gym going nuts.
Yeah, it's what it should. It's everything it should be.
Exactly. I mean, that commercial before too, like you said, it fired up. Dude, I was like watching these as I went, and I was like, oh, I'm so lame. I'm getting like goosebumps when it was like all the open announcement commercials. But what'd you notice about that commercial? It was, go ahead.
I was going to say, it gave me all the points that I'm excited for in the gym and in the open. It's not, the open has never been about me. I've never been competitive. I've always been a coach or an affiliate owner. And so seeing all those big first moments from people and those accomplishments, that's why I'm still an affiliate owner, whatever, 17 years later from when I started, because that still fires me up. So for them to highlight that and not put a CrossFit Games athlete into that commercial, which I don't care to see there, I already know what they're going to be able to do. That is just like all the fuel I need to make sure that my gym or gyms gets the attention they need again.
Exactly. And it really makes you feel like it's for you, it's for us, it's for those people that were doing the wall ball in front of their garage. Like it was open, it was accessible, but it was about the community.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
And we basically use the athletes as kind of these entertainment showmanship pieces. Okay, so check this out. This was nuts because this also made me. So we jumped ahead. We're at 13.5 now. Okay, so we're at 13.5, the last workout, and this was live. But this is the first time that it wasn't at a gym. It was at an actual place somewhere else.
Hello, CrossFit family, and welcome to the party. This is the live announcement of 13.5, the final piece in the puzzle that has been the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games Open. For this final week, we're doing it big. We're live at the Civic Auditorium in the birthplace of CrossFit, Santa Cruz, California. Now, forget your bad.
Okay, so pretty funny too, because like he's obviously better from week 1 to week 5, but you could still kind of see Rory like filling it out. But how
Dude,
freaking awesome is that?
They
place?
sold more tickets to that than they did semifinals last year. Ah, God, they're like watching them stand in line and scan a ticket in to fill a spot like that for one workout versus all the best has ever been in the world, because every year the field gets better, right? Just got to the West Coast semifinal and they couldn't sell any tickets.
Crazy.
Where are we right now? Where are we with this?
And if you notice something at the beginning of that open, it was gyms. It was groups of gyms. They all had their same shirts on. CrossFit Danville had their thing. In fact, here's a crazy thing. The gym CrossFit 580 is the first gym that it shows during that like little play. That was the gym that I started at, and I know a handful of those people that were at there. Like as the camera spanned across, I'm like, oh yep, I know there's a Brady's, there's it. So it's kind of funny. But anyways, it was because it was surrounded around the gyms. If you knew that it was coming to Santa Cruz and you had a chance to go see those guys, like everybody at your gym was like fired up. I do think I remember that they gave options for affiliate owners, local affiliate owners, to get tickets first to be able to do that as like part of an exclusivity thing. And then they have a small venue, and then they allowed the constraint of the supply and the demand, right? So they small venue, big demand.
Yes.
Sold it out.
Right.
Yeah. So if you
see
go,
where you're going with this.
If you go, yeah, exactly. If the demand is small and you go really big venue, it goes the opposite.
Right.
And
no urgency to get your ticket at all.
Dude, crazy. It's crazy. And I just the biggest difference between that 2012 and like the 2013 to me was the more of the inclusion of like the affiliates and the community, right? So when this one started off, we kicked it off right after Roy did the whole like, hey, welcome, the CrossFit Open starts now. It's like boom, go right to that commercial, and it's just highlights of everybody around the world doing their thing and going through the Open. So as we jump over to as we wrap 2023 up here, because these other ones kind of go a little bit quicker, and then we'll just do a little discussion afterwards. But as we wrap 2013 up, anything notable about that you want to chat about, or anything that I kind of glossed over?
The only thing I can say, like from my perspective, then it started to become more competitive. So getting off like the community side of things, the athlete side of things, when you're trying to get to regionals and whatnot, that spark of people really at the higher level, really trying to like crush each other to slide into regionals, that last spot, I think really started to ignite some more competition within gyms, because they used to take a lot of people to regionals. I think they took like 60 1 year, 48 1 year. It used to be real, and there was a lot of regionals. And so I think there was something about this that communities within the gym could get behind their best athletes and get super excited for them to have a chance to qualify. And then I'm sure you could do a whole nother show on regionals and attendance to that and how exciting that was back in the day. But I think that was part of the Open fuel and getting people to sign up was, Johnny Bravo was so good. He was going to make his run again this year, and everyone was going to show up for the Open on Friday night to do the Open and then watch him do it at the end. And I think that was part of where this started happening in 2013, 14 and forward. Whereas 11 and 12, it was still just us coaches and owners like in the corner getting together on weekends doing this workout, or maybe, every day after the gym's closed or whatever. But yeah, that shift started happening around this year in my mind.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I'm glad you made that because you're absolutely right. Like 2011, 2012, it's like people were kind of dipping their toe in a little bit, but by 2013, especially 2014, it's like everybody's gearing up to try to make it to regionals, right? Like the person who's got the RX on their name next to the board and the best times every day, you're like, oh man, has Seth got a chance? Like,
Right.
and they're, you hype it up and you do it, and it was fun because it was so localized. Right? Like it wasn't like you were just kind of like looking out there to the main athletes. Like that was all really cool and like definitely something everybody still looked for. But at this stage of the game, it's like it was all more localized. It was like
in your bubble,
gonna make it in your
yeah,
bubble.
it's your bubble because I mean, social media wasn't what it even close to what it is, right? So you're not even following athletes on any platform, right? You're
No.
just you're super focused on your community at this point in time.
Yeah, exactly. And the last piece from this is just the fact here that I just want to like look at that stage. You know what I mean? And I pointed this out when we had Rich on the show. I brought this up as Sevon was talking about it. And the kind of the consensus that all of us kind of came to with this is like, yes, the athletes are there to perform for the people. And a couple of them were saying like, oh, we're not just out here doing this for that. It's like, no, you are. You're a performer, you're an athlete, and the only way you make money is if a ton of people want to watch you do your thing. And if you do not think that you're in entertainment and that you are out there to be a dancing monkey, as like the whatever, however that thing got pulled into being the common phrase used, like you are.
I will refrain from being totally triggered from last year's open announcement where the athletes completely disregarded what they should do, made a selfish move, and fucked everybody over bad. I will refrain from being triggered for what happened last year with the fucking golden barbell. Sorry for swearing.
You're a good dude for that, You're a good dude for that.
Ruined it. Okay, sorry. We're not at that year.
Yeah, and that's okay. I also got kind of shammed because they did that at 580, the gym up the street from me. Ironically, when I was in negotiations of like potentially buying that gym too, and skipped over mine, and that gym is like maybe 2,000 square feet as opposed to mine of almost 8,000. It's not even comparable, and so they plugged it there.
You said it, small venue. You said it. That was you.
I was like, oh my Atlanta. So anyhow, yeah. So I just wanted to note that because that is so important in terms of like what you guys are out there to do as athletes. Like you're out there to obviously perform and to be competitive and to do your best. But at the same time, if you do not think that there's a showman to it and that you owe everything to those audience that's there, as I owe everything to my members that show up to the gym to work out, and I serve them as a lot of the athletes, and you could see Rich has taken this thing on. He serves the community. So if you really want to be that leader in the community and you really want that community to get behind you, just become a servant, And I mean that obviously like in a way of what you can control and how you present yourself and everything there. Don't think that something's owed to you, because the second the attention goes away, so does the sport.
Yep.
All right. So moving into 2014. So with this, there's not like a huge big change, right? We had 2013, they went live. We knew that was the deal. Rory is still handsome, but he's a lot smoother on camera. At this point, too, we're inside of the gyms that we're at now, continuing to kind of build some hype. It looks like we got Garrett Fisher doing this one here, right? And these were all, again, chosen after the leaderboard of the games the prior year. So they're all people that we want to see at the beginning of the season, and they're all people that did really well. And so that's it, but it's still inside of a CrossFit gym, so just take note of that. And then the last piece of
Marcus Hendren. I love that throwback. He was
Dude,
a beast. Untapped
was
potential there.
Yeah, he was like the first whatchamacallit, Colton Mertens. Like
He
the
was
farmer that just
farm
had
boy.
a full-time job and like did the whole farm thing, and like he's like, yeah,
Yep.
if it works out, it works out. Okay, so I want to take fast forward. We're going to jump right to the end of 2014 here with, again, another venue outside of a gym. Okay, now this was in San Francisco. Here we have more hype for all the athletes, and I want to bring it to right here. Okay, so we'll play a second of it. DJ Luggy Lou in the house. And right there. Okay. Can you spot somebody in the background?
Oh, baby. Look at that.
Check me out. And there's our
Wow.
CrossFit Livermore sweatshirts, and that's my wife in front of me. She'd be so pissed I
Yeah,
paused it on
one
that.
thing-
And that's one of my
That's
coaches,
so funny.
Dylan. And so yeah, so that's us back there hanging out. That was the first time that I met Rory because Dylan, the guy in the red shirt, and I did a competition a few months prior, and Rory actually signed up with Heber way back
Awesome.
when. And so Dylan and Rory ended up chatting quite a bit during one of the heats. They're in the same heat and have these same like rest things and like some other stuff. So they kind of become buddies, and Rory walked right over and he's like, "Oh, all right, bust out a banner, anything you guys got. I'm gonna stand here when we do the opening shot."
Oh, what a cool bro move by Rory. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was cool, right? So yeah, there I am hanging out.
We know it's a fact. When you get
I
CrossFitters
probably
together,
had like a
good things
GoPro or
happen.
something.
And this, outside of the CrossFit Games, is
And
the
Dylan.
biggest
there
gathering
it
of
is. There's the
CrossFitters
GoPro.
that we've ever hosted.
Check me out, media bro. So anyways, having been to that venue and like remembering that, it was nuts because it was packed. The place was, you could barely get in there. I mean, again, you knew a lot of the people that were there. It was gyms coming in from all over the place. It just was like, I mean, just a whole local kind of cool experience.
That's cool. You know what that
but
reminds
yeah.
me of is like, it's funny how many, like, you have your live show, you know, Savant's podcast, all the live shows on YouTube. Back then, when I was part of Misfit, we were like one of the first groups to start doing live YouTube shows. We used to watch the open announcement and then immediately set up our stuff and go live on YouTube, which we thought was so risky back then. We're like, we're really going to go live right now and talk about the workout. What if we're wrong? What if this happens? And we used to do that. I think 2014 or 2015 was the first year we started doing live podcasts about the open right after it finished, immediately when it wrapped. And it was like, it felt like the scariest thing ever. Like, we're going, it's out there. It's out there now.
What if we say something wrong and we give a
Yeah,
wrong
dude.
tip or we screw up the movement?
We'd
Yeah,
be
that's awesome.
sweating before we went live, dude. Sweating like we were like on, you know, national TV or something.
That's awesome. I wish I could have been in that room back then. You know, it's funny too. I for sure watched all of those without a doubt. I watched a lot of the
That's so
Misfit
funny.
stuff that you guys put out back in the day. And so yeah, so then just a notable moment from the next year coming up here is obviously we all remember this. Rich's last year as individual, he wins, barely beating out Frazier, and here we are in the open announcement of 15.1, and Dave's got him going head to head.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so pretty cool, right? Now we're still inside of a CrossFit gym here. We still just got an insane crowd. Everything else, how they build out those whole structures.
Rory put on
all
some
that.
muscle, I think, from the year prior. It looked like.
Yep. And now at this point, he's doing the rover spas. Yeah, look at Rory. He's getting jacked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so
Oh,
they're doing rover bars. Oh, check right here. We got the Frazier. That's the official Redline shirt. You remember that company? O'Keefe's company?
My wife was actually the first sponsored Redline athlete ever.
Yeah,
and
dude.
Frazier was second. She actually, because she's from Boston, where O'Keefe is from. her and O'Keefe did a partner competition called what the hell is it called? ECC, East Coast Championship. Bergeron used to put it on back in the early 2010s, and they partnered up, and she was the first sponsored athlete.
Dude, amazing. Oh, shoot. Yeah, wrong button. There we go. Yeah, awesome, dude. Oh, yeah. This guy always hates on me. Souza's teeth age, though, got yellower and more crooked. Yeah. This one got chipped, dude. When I was doing jujitsu, I did jujitsu like a year or so ago, and my tooth got like busted back, and then this one was already pushed back from another time I got hit in the face. So yeah, Mission Bell, you're correct in that. And at least I'm not a coward ass fucking bitch that sits behind a name that no one knows with a profile picture and acts like you could fuck like you're tough. You fucking coward. You fucking coward. You see what I do? I lean right into my insecurity. You can't even put up a profile picture. No one knows who the fuck you are. Sorry about that, Seth. So I like that. It's like, yeah, of course, obviously I feel insecure about stuff, and we're up here and we're doing our thing, and then we present ourselves on the stage, and I expect a little bit of criticism like that, but at least have your fucking name on there in a picture, you fucking bitch. You fucking bitch. Hey, one of you guys permanently ban this fucking coward from my show, please. Ban him.
Just gonna make another name and come back, though.
Yeah, fuck him. Fucking bitch. Anyhow. Yeah, it's like I hate when people do that. Like, what do you have to offer? And what the fuck did I do to you? You know what I mean? Like, here I am, we're presenting stuff. I'm trying to give you fucking content, and that fucking coward wants to come on here and fucking act like you're providing anything. That just fires me the fuck up. I'll put my fucking 10-inch dick out and slap you across the face with it, you fucking bitch.
Damn. I remember this because my wife got upset about this. One time I posted this like Instagram clip and it was like a side view and I was talking and I looked like I had like 7 chins going on and someone's like, I would never take advice from somebody with like 6 chins. And I thought it was hilarious. And my wife was like, no, fuck that. Like I'm going after this guy. And I was like, have at it. She like went after him in the comments. It was so funny.
No, it's good. And normally I don't like really address that much of that, but I've watched that particular individual go across all of our channels and hate on everybody in the group. And so like, you know, it's whatever if you do it to me, but like once you start getting on all the homies too, you can fucking bounce, you know what I mean?
It's lame.
Anyhow, okay, so yeah, so 2015, there wasn't that much of a change. We kept it inside of the affiliates and we still had tons of crowd there. Like this was a fucked up one because they put Camille on a rowing thing versus these two.
They never seemed to take that serious.
No, they definitely didn't
care.
Yeah, they definitely didn't put it into like consideration of like, should we match this up so Camille doesn't get smoked next to these two rowers? And it's like, nah, well, let's throw her in there and see what happens. But yeah, it's kind of interesting how it changes over the years. So this year,
89.
We saw a change, and this is 2016. Anything notable from 2015? It's very similar to 2014. There wasn't that much of a change between those two.
No, the only pattern I started to notice as you were going across a couple of years is like the last week is when they start doing the big venue. So it looked like they keep it in the affiliates, like the first 4, and then the last week they really make it this huge games like production, which I kind of appreciate the build up to that like finale. And that's one of the things. But from year to year, no. What you got? What did you notice?
And well, so great point with that. And I like that too, because it kind of got everybody out. And like sometimes they really want to do this big shebang for the last one. But this year in the 2016 was the first year that like Rory's here, but we brought in some international flavor. Because if you remember, I think they had China Cho and Emily Abbott did this, but they actually did the announcement here, which was in South America.
Okay. I remember he was traveling.
Yeah. So this time, and then here's Dave hidden behind everybody here. And then it opens up and he does his whole like showmanship thing, right? But this was cool because it was the first year that there was a big enough global representation, right? Like 2016 was like, hey, this thing is massive and it's becoming much more like globally recognized. And so it was cool that Dave basically like gave a tip of the hat to that and went out to those communities traveled across. And so he did, this one was in South America. And then he came back and they paid homage to the Garage Gym in Colorado with Dan Bailey and BKG.
Do you know what year the first year was they started bringing in like the average affiliate goer to like do the workout with the athletes? Because I remember that was a thing. 2016.
Oh, well, in 2016 they had these athletes do it, and then the elite went afterwards.
Yeah,
they didn't do
That's what I mean.
Yeah, they didn't do the 2. I think that came much later, didn't it?
I kind of hate that, to be honest. I don't really, I just want the show, and I just want to go back into my gym and watch my athletes struggle through it, not other random athletes.
I completely agree. I liked the row and Boz thing because it was kind of an afterthought, and like they're like sweeping up shit behind them as these guys are working out. So there wasn't like that much put on, but I think like for everybody else, it was a great like, okay, cool. We got to see like how hardcore those athletes went. Like now let's see what happens to kind of like more average people. Although Roy and
they're still fit.
They're still super fit. Roy and Adrian are still super fit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 2016 was the year that Dave took everything international. Not everything, but he was international while they were announcing. So it was kind of cool because they really were thoughtful about the locations. But this is the first year that we saw it move a little bit outside of the affiliate. First year was in the affiliate, but Dave was in South. First workout, Dave was in South America. We're at NorCal in an affiliate. Then the next one was at a home gym, which was kind of cool because they paid a little homage to that. They set that dude up. Remember Bailey got his reps miscounted and had to
Yep.
take away his score. Poor Bailey.
I think that's happened more than once.
Yeah, we'll play that for him. That guy never caught a break. And then we went to like a Air Force base, and then he was in like whatchamacallit, in Spain or in Italy. That was when he did the bar muscle ups in the suit. So it kind of got fancy. And basically 2016, and the reason why I had it end on this, and this will just kind of be our closing notes on today's show, but 2016 was the end of an era. We didn't know it at that time, but as I watched through all of these workouts and went through the years, as soon as they had moved it out of that open format, out of the inside the affiliate format and started to travel to different locations, we slowly stopped seeing the open commercials where it exemplified it into the community.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it one other thing that changed, and this was in 2011 or 2013, there was the ending of another commercial, and it said, and I saved it on here, I just completely forgot to play it earlier. It said at the end of it, brought to you by at the end. Let's see if I could find it.
Challenge. I compete with myself.
The reward.
So this is it right here. Okay, we'll play this and then we'll wrap this thing up because Seth and I gotta go into.
You haven't heard of CrossFit? Let me tell you about CrossFit.
I think it's the absolute best way to help you reach your fitness goals.
I like the challenge. I compete with myself.
The reward for doing well is the ability to express your fitness in everyday life.
I really like the social aspect of it.
Everyone is welcoming. Everyone is cheering you on.
We all share this experience, which is emotional.
It's my passion.
It's a lifestyle.
It's my outlet that ends up making you better as an individual.
Every day we're changing lives in this place.
It's just a better way to live.
This live open workout announcement is brought to you in part by the CrossFit affiliates, making people better.
All right.
Yeah, it sure is.
Okay, so at the beginning of the show, I said I saw something that changed, and we'll kind of talk about it. I wasn't sure if it was for the good or like the better, but for whatever. I'll not have an opinion on it. But anyways, stuff changed. And as we saw it move through those years, and the reason why I picked these years is because right at 2016, it moved way more towards sport. And we no longer saw those type of open commercials celebrating the community. We stopped seeing as much as the inside the affiliate commercials. We stopped actually saying them, hey, this is brought to you by the CrossFit affiliates. And it was right about that time, which is interesting too, because if you think about it and you kind of look back at 2016, you're like, we're kind of losing the tether. Then you see 2017 and you're like, we definitely lost it. And then you see 2018 and now you're like, okay, I may not agreed with the changes that happened in media and stuff around sport, but you could tell that there definitely needed to be a change. And you could see why Greg kind of ripped the cord out of the wall.
That makes perfect sense. And so this all feels like, until you break it down like this, it all feels like a blur to me. Like it's all blended together from the start of the open up until probably 2020. It all feels like it's one flowing chain of competition year after year. But when you actually look at the years and you start to put like benchmarks on when things change and how, you're exactly right. The timing of those dramatic changes, maybe they were too much of a knee jerk in the other direction by, shutting down your Facebook and all your social media and your YouTube and all that. But I get why you have to pull the reins back hard when the focus gets completely off why we started this to begin with. And yeah, so, I can't really speak on details more than that, but I lived it and watched it happen, felt the repercussion of going too far in the direction of sport. And now we never really found status quo back in the middle, in my opinion. And every year it feels like I'm not waiting for the workouts anymore. I'm waiting for the new rules. What's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? What do I tell my members? I got people asking me, how's this work? Do they get to go to quarterfinals? Do they not? I don't know. I'm waiting just like you guys. And so there's never been a status quo again when we were pretty sure things were going to happen this way. I need to see what the entire structure is for this big community event every year. And that gets frustrating, I think, for everybody.
Yeah. And it's hard to have that consistency, and the consistency is really what builds the audience over time. So even though we had micro changes that were happening, by and large, from 2011 to 2016, you kind of knew where your path was, and then slowly after that. Now, a bit of inside information that I got was I had heard before that 2018 thing where Greg kind of just went crazy, got rid of all that media team, made that abrupt deal, that he had been saying, I guess, for at least a year or more plus, saying we need to change this, right the ship, do this, and then they weren't, and then he ended up taking a dramatic change. I don't know too much about that. If I get a chance to talk to him tomorrow about it, maybe we will. Maybe we'll dive into it if he's up to it. But anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed that little journey through the first 6 years of the Open, as well as just some updates on the sell of CrossFit. If anything else comes up between now and like my show next week, we may do an emergency podcast depending on the information I hear and what's going on and the rumblings. If not, we'll be bringing another update next week, and we'll continue on. We'll know what the workouts are. Seth, thank you so much for coming in, dude, and hanging out. Really
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for rolling with the punches. I had to push this back 5 minutes to try to give Chase and them some breathing room. Their shows overlapped, whatever. And thank you guys for hanging out, all 123 for you. Really appreciate it, especially through my little outburst back there. Oh, and but sometimes you gotta show out, let motherfuckers know. Anyhow, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Always appreciate your time. Be good to each other out there, and we'll see you on the lead.